Good morning, Facebook, and welcome to the HarperCollins Video Studio. Today, we are here live with our fabulous, but also truncated, slightly, by one, library marketing team. So, V. Laney, take it away.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Yes.
They're better than Chris's, probably.
Oh, we are better than Chris's. Chris, if you're watching, and you better be asleep, Chris is homesick. So, in honor of Chris not being here, in his place, we have his little bobblehead. So, we all have bobbleheads, but Lainey had a brilliant idea to have him bobbing along with us. So, Chris, get better. Come back. He'll be back on Monday. It's me and Lainey.
I had to put up the tiki hut today, because Chris usually does it.
You did an excellent job.
Well, thank you. It's held up by string, literally, or straw. We'll see.
I'm not touching it. Lainey said don't breathe on it, so I don't know. Anyway, so hi, we're going to talk to you about some books, and books that are coming out, books that are out, books that we're just super jazzed about. So we're going to get right to it.
So what's today's cocktail?
Oh, well, that is, will be explained in the description of our very first book. Lainey Mays, take it away.
So our first book, maybe we should start with the book itself. Let me get there. Is Never Have I Ever by Joshilyn Jackson. And I'm going to set it right here. But we have these really cool games that marketing made to go with them. And it's like a legit game that you can get the box and has all this. It says, in this game, even winning can be deadly. So this book is a thriller, psychological thriller. And it's kind of a new thing for Joshilyn, but it's so good. I just finished it, and I was just flipping the pages, going through. It has several twists. You think you kind of know, and then you're like, did not see that coming. But what I think is really interesting about this book is, well, let me get there. Let me tell you about the book first, then I'll tell you why it's interesting. So, in this book, we see Amy and Charlotte. Ooh. So Amy and Charlotte live in a cul-de-sac, and they have a book club. They have made this little group where they can come together and talk about books. Charlotte picks books. Usually they're kind of old, like House of Mirth, and they're like, yawn, but they get through it, and they have fun. And then all of a sudden they show up. So Charlotte and Amy are having it at Amy's house. And this lady that lives in the cul-de-sac shows up, and she's only renting the house for like a month. They never see her. They never talk to her. She stays in her house. They don't really care about her. She's kind of an outsider. And then she comes and shows up at this book club. Her name is Rue, and she just kind of pushes on through. She takes over. She's like, oh, we're not reading that book. Let's play a game. And this is where the game comes in. So they play Never Have I Ever. And if you've played that, it can get kind of dark really quickly. This is a kind of a different spin on the game, though. So there's a board game. Part of the...
Here it is.
Yeah. So as she gets these people to play the game, their secrets start coming out, and she lets Amy know very quickly that she knows things from her past. So Amy's like, maybe I misunderstood, but she is coming for her. She comes to her house. She's like, I know your secret. I'm going to get that secret out, and I'm going to tell people unless you do what I say. So you see Amy kind of going into her past and fighting her demons and going through she's in this like really sweet neighborhood, but she had a really dark past. But what I think is cool about this book is there's really this compassion. I think a lot of the time in thrillers or people who are being kind of blackmailed, you see them doing everything they can to just hide it. They want to suppress it. They don't want anyone to know, and then that gets them in more trouble. But I feel like Amy really she's like, what makes me different than those people is that I really do have compassion for the things I've done and the people I've hurt. And so you see her come to terms with that and fight this good and bad within her, but she does play the game, so Rue finds her a likely adversary.
Nice.
So
tell them about everything that comes with the game.
Okay, so you get these little pieces, and you can pick what you want. You can be a wine bottle,
Here, hold them up.
Car, a baby carriage, or a gin and tonic.
Hey-o. So you put these little pieces in here just like you would.
House of Mirth.
You were
there you go.
Like Milton Hasbro, except it's not. So there's all your playing pieces. And
snorkeling has to do in the book. I'm going to be a gin and tonic.
Okay. And then your spinner. We're telling you all this because we want you to be intrigued, and we're also going to give away one or two of these games.
Yeah.
So keep listening. All right, so you spin this thing, and then you all start here at Amy's house, and then you spin until you end up where? The cul-de-sac.
Oh, the cul-de-sac, yeah.
So we thought we'd play the game
Just for a minute.
but also what's super cool is that it comes with gin and tonic. This is my favorite part of the whole game. Okay, so Lainey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I love my job. Okay, ready? But
I like a drink? Yes.
Whoops, you do. Okay. And so this is what you do. So the characters drink. So you drink. You play Never Have I Ever, and you enjoy this book, which just got a starred review from Booklist, which at the end says Never Have I Ever marks a new high in Jackson's career that will attract new readership. So nail-biting suspense, Southern family drama. That's what she's known for. This is a turn. This is a little twist, and we hope that you enjoy the book. We hope that you enjoy the game, whoever wins it. So keep sending in questions and comments, and you will be entered to win. So here's to you. Ugh. Here's to Joshilyn Jackson. Now, Lainey, Never Have I Ever. You go first.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Oh, sweet mother. Okay.
So you have to do... Okay, are we playing? Let's play
we're
the
going
game.
to play for 1 second.
1 second. I don't know if we'll do it the correct way because it has to be an abbreviated
Can you see
version.
Chris peeking over the...
Okay, so go to today. You have to land on that first.
Yeah.
And I landed, I'm going to say. And it says, what's the worst thing you've done today? And then you have to, so if you've done it, the other people in the game, they have to take a drink, correct?
Okay, please have done something because I need a drink. It's 10:30.
I pretended that my headphones were on the subway when someone tried to talk to me.
Nice!
And I paused it and I knew what they were saying, but I didn't want to talk to them because you never want to talk to too many people on the subway if they're yelling at you.
True.
So that was probably pretty bad.
Okay, so now what do I do?
I don't really remember. Drink.
Okay. That sounds like a terrible thing.
There are rules. There are rules in this box.
Yeah,
We're making up our own.
We are making up our own.
Okay.
Never have I ever. I stepped on the back of somebody's shoe who was in front of me because they were walking too slowly down the steps to the subway because they were reading their phone. And it drives me crazy. So I had to,
I'll drink to that.
flat-foot them. Boom! Sorry, whoever you were. Okay, let's move on, shall we?
Yay!
So Never Have I Ever, Joshilyn Jackson.
Take it to your book club, play it.
Yeah.
Be careful if you're giving a lot of secrets away.
Yeah, and don't drink gin at 10:30 in the morning. Wait till 11. All right.
People are very excited about it.
Are they?
We also have a lot of well wishes for Christopher, who is not here. So
Thank you. I feel better already knowing that you're thinking about me.
Sounds just like it.
Chris is somewhere going, oh, stop doing that. All right.
All right.
Chris.
What are you going to talk about?
Me?
Yep. I'm making you go next.
Oh, you were making me go. Okay.
Never have ever made you go next.
No, you're right. I'm always going, somebody else go first. All right. Well, okay. So I will tell you about this book that we have coming out. It's sort of a drop-in, so you need to know about this. This is Anthony Bourdain Remembered. Here you go.
It's down there.
Where? Oh, here? Okay. Nice. Thank you, Lainey. Lainey mocked that up, and it's awesome. Put Chris over.
Well, I have to give Echo their due. They did it, but I asked for it.
Okay. Echo Press is the publisher of Anthony Bourdain's book. Now, so this is a book that was originally published by CNN. It is photographs and remembrances by people in Anthony Bourdain's life, people who've been touched by Anthony Bourdain. And so it's a big, gorgeous book. As I said, CNN had published it for his daughter. It was a very limited edition, and so now with their blessing, we are publishing it. And so these are just some sample spreads. I don't know if you can see this or not. This is a quote from Ken Burns. So it's sort of like this. It's these beautiful photographs of him, and people just remarking on his life or the essence of him, or what was it about Anthony Bourdain that touched them so. So there's one. In fact, Ken Burns says, I didn't know Anthony Bourdain, but felt a special kinship and now an acute loss. He excelled at storytelling and finding the very best ones in every morsel of life. I'll miss him. So true. And I love this one by Barack Obama. Okay, you can see that. Can you see that, Scooter? Mm-hmm. They're having noodles and cold beer together, sitting on a plastic chair. And now I'll read what he wrote. This is Barack Obama. Low plastic stool, cheap but delicious noodles, cold Hanoi beer. This is how I'll remember Tony. He taught us about food, but more importantly, about its ability to bring us together, to make us a little less afraid of the unknown. We'll miss him. So this is, again, stories, memories from fans reminiscing about his achievements. Barack Obama, Jose Andres, Daniel Boulud, Questlove. It will be published to commemorate the 1-year anniversary of his tragic death on June 8th, which happened on 2018, June 8th. So that's Anthony Bourdain remembered. Okay, so proud to be the publisher of that. All right then, Missy.
All right, so what I'm going to talk about, another nonfiction. It's Fall and Rise, the story of 9/11 by Mitchell Zuckoff. And this comes out really soon, April 30th, but we really wanted to talk about it because it's a very big book and we want everyone to know about it. And this cover is everything, this cover, the emotion that comes from it, this like slow rising and kind of fading to another like that is the emotion that comes through this book. It's so important. It's a story of 9/11 and the attacks. So Mitchell was a Boston Globe reporter. He did cover this when it happened, but we've waited this long. He spent years getting to know the families that were affected, families of victims, and just kind of implementing himself in their lives and trusting them. It's not like he was just a reporter asking questions, writing down their answers. He knew them, and he came into the office and was telling us, he's like, oh, this person did this, and his family's here, and his birthday is this. Like, he knows these people. He feels for them, and it comes through in this book. It's not your usual 9/11 start to finish linear storytelling and, like, the gory details. It's not that. He takes each individual attack, each plane, he goes into it, he tells these stories of these people's lives, notes that their family members gave them the day they woke up, just going to school or sending their kids off to school, little things. These are people just living their life, and they happen to be caught up in this. And so he does it so beautifully. I think that the destruction and everything is really in the American psyche after this. We all know where we were. We all know what we were doing, and it affects everyone in one way or another, even if you were here or not. But we have this kind of reverence for a very patriotic feeling at the same time. So you have these mixed emotions, this devastation, but then also this pride of everyone coming together and fighting this. And I feel like it really comes through in the book, whereas it's sad, but it's very uplifting. You know these people, you get to hear about these people, and he gives them all a name. Stories that people don't really know, like one man was caught in the North Tower in an elevator that was shut down, had no idea what was going on. And so, like, stuff like that I would have never known. And he goes really deep in detail. It's really beautiful. He's supported by the 9/11 Museum, which is right across the street from us right now. And it's a special book. You want to talk about it, Amy?
Yeah, when he came into the office, we've worked with him before. He has written several books with us, Lost in Shangri-La, and 13 Hours Frozen in Time. He's a fantastic journalist, and he's a storyteller. Like Lainey said, it's not cold reporting. There's a heart and a soul and warmth and really wanting to know. A lot of these people just did not want to talk about this because they were in it. As Lainey said, we were all affected. Everybody knows where they were, regardless of where they were. But these people were really in it, and many of them, as they say, just didn't want to know, or people told stories of people who had passed away or are terribly injured. So, obviously, they felt like it was time to get that history out there, that oral history, and he's listening. And so those stories, like the guy in the elevator, there's an actor who's, this is what he's an out of work actor or something. There's just endless stories. And then we shared our stories with him at the end of that meeting, like who who we knew. I knew somebody who was a policeman and a fireman, and he didn't come back. And we talked about that. We talked about a lot of things. So it sort of opened up this dialogue because everybody kind of knows everybody or knows of somebody, I think, or most people do. Anyway, maybe I'm thinking that because I'm in New York, but anyway, he's a great storyteller, and he's a great reporter, and he's mixed those two. So Kirkus gave it a starred review. It said, meticulously delineated, detailed graphic history of the events of 9/11 in New York City, at the Pentagon, and in Pennsylvania. Despite the story's sprawling cast, which could have sabotaged a book by a less skilled author, Zakov ably handles all of the complexities of contemporary history. Fallen Rises, a clear and moving success. Pages of raves about this book. So important and proud to have that book on our list. I think all of our bobbleheads should be together.
Even when Chris isn't with us?
Yes, I think we should just, we should be together. Here, we're making it feel better, Chris. Okay. What are we talking about? Oh, okay, we're talking about more books. More books. Okay, I think we should, one of your faves.
One of my faves. And so I favorite even not even reading this book, just looking at it. But now that I've read it, even more love. So, when I first heard about it, I'm going to just get into it. It's so exciting. So, The Adventures of Barry and Joe by Adam Reed. So, this was started as a Kickstarter. Adam Reed did this online, drawings of Barry and Joe. So, it's a young Barack Obama and Joe Biden fighting crime throughout time travel. And if you were like me, you heard that and you were like, sign me up. I don't even care. Like, I need to know. And when they announced it, I was so excited about it. And I was flipping through the book last night, and it's so funny. Like, it came out of his, as most people, his being upset at some political things that are going on. And he was saying it's the ultimate bromance. And so it's funny, he says, a graphic and textual stew born from the fabric of our current, often confusing existence. It also tells the entirely true story of Barack Obama and Joe Biden as time warriors hurtling through space and history. But at the bottom, it's got an asterisk, and it says, we all need something to believe in. So it's not true, but we wish. So we follow right before the Trump's election. I mean, not election, when he's going to be sworn in. They are called by the state to come and fight some crime. So they go through space and time, and they go to different parts of their former lives. They do like weird stuff. They do vignettes of different movies that are coming out. Like, here's an example. This is in a section called Bromantica, a sacrilegious portrait gallery filled with bromantic wonders. So this is them on the Titanic as Rose. And this is them at...
Simon and Garfunkel?
Yeah.
Can you see that, Scooter?
An Odd Couple. They're the Blues Brothers. It's just fun, and it takes you out of some of the day-to-day things politically and have some fun with it. He is a really funny writer. I was laughing out loud, and also it's really good to read out loud. I have a friend that I actually brought it home, and I was like, you have to see this book. So we were reading it, and there's a play, and I was just reading the play, and it's something good to do with people. You don't have to read it by yourself.
Well, it'd be weird if you were reading a play by yourself out loud, lady. Well, whatever.
My friend came to hear it.
Yeah, sure.
But I have to point this out because I think it's so funny. I thought it was so funny that I read the acknowledgments just to see what funny things he put in there. I love reading acknowledgments, which is weird about me. But so at the very end, it's like pages of people who helped him create this with the Kickstarter, an artist. But then at the very end, he said, he broke it up in sections, and it says, celebrities I don't know but will tag here like this is Instagram. Samuel L. Jackson, Chris Pine, Ellen, no last name. The Muppet performers. It's just, these people are all throughout the book and in different vignettes, and it's a really fun book.
That's hilarious.
Is there an ice cream cone eating panel?
I don't
When you
know.
flip
I don't
through,
think
you know,
so.
A what?
Ice cream cone.
Not that I remember, but that doesn't mean it's not in there. And there's like a comic book version where they're the superheroes. And also, I forgot, they're guided by this all-knowing voice you might know of, Samuel L. Jackson. So he comes in augmented reality to help them get out of things, as one does. This is a really fun, cool book, and you'll be able to get it now. Well, it's on sale $3.26, so
Tuesday, start your calendars.
Happy book birthday.
thank you, Adam. This is what we all needed.
Oh my God, Lainey, you're so funny. Lainey, do you like that book?
That's okay. No.
All right. Okay. How are we doing? Any questions?
Not yet. Just people adding books to their TBR piles and
All right.
Christmas lists. So
All right. Now, okay, here we go. Here we go. We're going to talk about 3 books that we are loving. And they are all publishing in May, which means that if you are a Library Reads voter, your votes are due April 1st. So, Lainey, here we go.
Everything must go. Like I have a sign.
The 7 or 8 Deaths by Stella Fortuna. If you don't know about this book by now, you have not been watching Library Love Fest on Facebook Live. Because we've been talking about this book for forever because we love it so much. This is by Juliet Grimes, and it is an epic, multi-generational story about 2 sisters who live in Italy, in a little village called Calabria, and they come to the United States. More than that, I cannot tell you because you can find it all on Edelweiss.
And Library Love Fest.
And
We
Library
have
Love Fest.
A whole post.
So much on Library Love Fest. Author video. It's endless. I feel like we've talked about this book so much because we all love it so much. We feel strongly about this book. If you do too, you have another week to read it. Download it, read it, love it, vote. Please, if you're so inclined. It's not like it's not gonna make you vote. All right. Do we have this one here?
No, but I have printed out.
Oh, great. The Last Time I Saw You by Liv Constantine. The authors of The Last Mrs. Parrish. This is the sister duo that writes as Liv Constantine. And this is another, they knocked it out of the park again. And this is a story about a moneyed family in Baltimore. The mother is murdered. The daughter and her estranged high school friend get back together again, and they're trying to figure out what happened to this woman. It gets a little freaky, and it's really cool and page-turning, and you can't put it down till you find out what happens. I love this book. Goes on sale in May. Voting deadline, did I mention April 1?
no fooling.
Oh, no fooling.
Sorry, it took me a while.
That's
to get
also
to it.
Chris's birthday.
It is also Chris's birthday.
And he doesn't like jokes.
Yeah.
No, be check.
That's the first thing he said. I don't like jokes.
I don't like
I don't like
pranks.
pranks.
All right,
It's like,
Chris.
oh, happy
Okay.
birthday.
All right then.
He's gonna watch this and be like, what are you guys talking?
How to Forget by Kate Mulgrew. A daughter's memoir. I'm
just
on this
putting
one.
this. Yeah. I'm just making a little
Oh, look at
section.
you. A diorama. Okay, you've heard me talk about this, I'm sure. I hope that some of you were able to check out my interview with Kate Mulgrew on Facebook Live. If you weren't, it is pinned to the top of Library Love Fest. It was an hour of sheer joy talking to that woman about her parents, which is the story within the pages of this book, which I have flagged, tagged, underlined, scored, and will hold this book for forever.
Well-loved
because,
book.
Oh,
Yes.
God, I love this book so much.
Well-worn.
She is called back home to Iowa, where she grew up. Her father has been diagnosed with cancer. Her mother is already quite ill with Alzheimer's, and this is the story of taking care of them, looking back at their lives, how their lives affected her life, informed her life, defined her life. It's a big Irish family in the middle of Iowa, and it's beautiful, and it's funny, and it's tender, and it's sad, and it's life, and I loved it, and I cannot stop talking about this book. Please take a look at this book. You do not need to be a follower of her theatrical work to dive deep into this thing and find relatable passages, moments, pages, and sentiment that you will relate to your very own life. That's How to Forget by Kate Mulgrew. So,
One more.
Oh,
One more, April.
do it.
So we have Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors by Sonali Dave. So this is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. I've talked about it several times. It's so fun and sweet. It's one of our rom-coms. This is our new term. We have a lot of them coming up, but this one falls in that. It has a nice PS section, so you can talk about it at book clubs. Whereas a lot of Pride and Prejudice retellings are pretty kind of cut and dry, or maybe you're like kind of tired of them. This one really shakes it up. It's got it like it like mixes and mashes. So it's not just this person is this family and this person is in this family. We follow the Rajes, which is a big epic family that have moved to San Francisco from India, and they have made their way up. And their daughter Trisha is a doctor, and she's gonna have to do this really crazy eye surgery. She's a surgeon on this man's sister, because she's an artist and she might lose her eyesight. So when he comes in, his name is DJ. When he comes in, things fall into place, and it's a love story as well. But it's about immigrants. It's mix and mashes an old classic. It's very fun. He's also a chef, so all the food makes you really hungry. And we have a second book coming in the series about the Rajay family. So,
and great raves.
yes. And she's also, Sonali is an amazing advocate for diversity in romance. She's got a web series called Lit with Love. Go to her website and check that out. We're really excited about this book, though it's due by April 1st.
So, please, they are among our favorites. We don't know what else to tell you, except, please, if you're the voting kind, if you work in a library, you don't need to have your MLS to work in a public library. Vote for Library Reads. Think about these books. Please at least read them and tell us what you think about them. We'd love to hear that. But these are the deadline dates for these books if you're so inclined to vote. And if you love them, which you will.
So we have a lot of people saying that they have either added Kate Mulgrew's How to Forget via NetGalley. People are also very excited that we are on NetGalley.
Great.
And some people are saying that you need to be ready to cry when you read How to Forget. And I'd also say you need to be ready to tear up a little bit when you watch V's interview with Kate, because things got touch emotion at various points. But it was a wonderful interview. People are also saying they've watched the interview and they absolutely loved it. So lots of love for Kate's book.
I felt like you guys have known each other forever.
Yeah, to me
it was like a family reunion around the table.
Related.
Yeah, it felt that way too, and I had only met her once before, but we just connected, and
it's at the top of our Library Love Fest page, so
yeah,
go check it out.
You can't miss it.
I honestly I did not expect to be fully enveloped as I was by that book. I just can't say enough about it, and I just think there's something in there for everybody. So anyway, please read it. Please watch that video.
And you can also, we just uploaded it as a podcast episode too, which is also in that post, or on SoundCloud. So you can listen, you can watch, you can do everything with this interview. And so,
yeah, it sounds good. I listened to a little bit of it last night. It sounds great. It's something that I can understand why people would want to listen to that and just keep on
she's
going.
an actress.
She's beautiful. She has such a wonderful voice.
She's an actress, so really she is performing some parts of, in a way, not performing, but she's using those skills to really pull you into the story she's telling about her true life. And sometimes I could find myself leaning in, and you're just around a campfire. It's so beautiful, and it's cool to listen to.
But it's so authentic and honest. I mean, it's just it's her life, it's her story, it's her parents.
And Stella and Juliet are also getting a lot of love as well. And as the disembodied voice, I would just like to add that I absolutely adore that book. And also your bobbleheads are getting a lot of praise and attention.
Excellent.
Another interview.
Yeah, just to go back on Stella Fortuna for a second. So she's the associate publisher of Soho Press, Juliet Grahams. This is a debut. This thing is amazing, honestly. I mean, as Kim said, Kim made this beautiful video, which is also on Library Love Fest. So scroll down to the Juliet Grahams part and you'll see it. It's fabulous. Every time I watch it, I cry.
Her mother cries. Her mother cried, apparently. She
it's
told me.
How long is that? 30 seconds, and it's like...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the Empire. It's the Statue of Liberty. Just go look at it.
I didn't even mean to, but my nails match the book.
Look at that.
Lainey.
Coincidence or not?
I don't know. Anyway, that was a very moving book. All right.
Another great interview maybe that we want to plug on our podcast.
This fine young man here, Mr. Chris Connolly, conducted an interview with Neil Stevenson, the author of Fall or Dodge in Hell. This book is coming out in June. It goes on sale June 4th. And Chris is a major Neil Stephenson fan, and Neil Stephenson lives in Seattle, where ALA Midwinter was. So we had this set up that Chris was going to meet Neil at the Seattle Public Library, a room reserved, and they were going to have a conversation for our podcast. And Neil was lovely and gracious and said, I will be there. And Chris dove in, and he had all of his notes and questions ready. And Neil said, the only thing that might prevent this from happening is if my daughter goes into labor. And guess what happened? So, through the magic of podcast land and technology, Lainey, and super expensive microphones that you plug into laptops, Chris conducted the interview with Neil a few weeks later via telephone. But you would never know that these two weren't in the same room because they sound like they're sitting right next to each other. And boy, aside from the quality is secondary to the fact that the content of this interview is so great. Talk about them sounding like they're buds, right?
Yeah.
Like they completely get each other. And it's like what, 30 minutes or something? It's 4, I don't know. It's not
long.
No, it's
but
not
it
long.
packs punch, yeah.
Ooh, it's great. It's such a great interview. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is, Chris. You knocked it out of the park, son. So go to, how do they get to the podcast?
So you can go to SoundCloud/Library Love Fest, or you can download, you can always subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify, but you can also just go straight to it. We also link to anyone we talk about on Library Love Fest on our website, so SoundCloud, that's where you find it. If you have any problem, I can help you. And also, did you know that this Sunday is Share Your Buds Day? And you share your favorite podcasts with people and you tell them about it. So mine that I'm sharing is ours. So you should go share it with your buds and tell them about it on Sunday.
What's the matter, Kim?
Nothing. Share your podcast.
Share?
Share your podcast.
That kind of share?
Could be that kind of
No, but it's like buds. Like buds and buds.
Yeah, I get buds and buds. I
You missed
understand.
what I just did there.
Do it again, because that was really great.
Where I can share my podcast. Ow! That didn't really sound like her. Hope she's not watching. Oh yeah, because she's really watching. All right.
Chris
Anyway.
has gotten some love for his Neil Stephenson podcast. People have listened and enjoyed and really enjoyed it. So.
Good. I hope Cher's listening to that podcast. I hope Cher's going to share her podcast.
I'll share buds with her. She can tell me. I'll listen to anything she tells me to do.
We love her. Did we mention that we're doing her memoir in 2020?
Closer and closer.
All right. Here we go. What are we talking about next?
Probably a book.
Okay.
Good.
Would you hold that up, please?
Yes.
Awfully silly today. Okay, this is Every Man a Hero. This is a book that we all need to know about. This is a memoir of D-Day, the first wave at Omaha Beach, and a world at war. This is by Ray Lambert and co-written with Jim DeFelice. So this is written by U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Ray Lambert. He is 98 years old and sharp as a tack, and retells his story about his first-hand account of D-Day. He's a decorated U.S. Army medic. He landed with the first wave on June 6, 1944. He saved dozens of his fellow American soldiers and was wounded at the same time. He had a broken back. He was so he tells the story in great detail. If you go to the Edelweiss page for this book, Every Man a Hero, you will see some wonderful pictures of him back then when he was a young man. Now, what? Yep. But there are also pictures of him now, pictures of all of his medals, of which there are many. And he's got the Silver Star, the Purple Heart. He's a remarkable eyewitness to history. And this is D-Day is one of the most revered events of World War II. And as I said, this book is timed for the 75th anniversary, sure to receive widespread media attention. This book is going on sale just another June. And what else can I tell you? You definitely need to go to Edelweiss to see the photographs and to get information on this book, because it's unforgettable. It's everything about what happened on those, and it's not just what happened on Omaha Beach. It's about everything that preceded it throughout the Second World War. He was in Africa. He was in Sicily. He saw a lot of combat, and is a brave man with a terrific memory, and he's doing a great thing by writing this book, and a great honor to those who have fallen. So anyway, this is unbelievable. 98 years old. He lives in North Carolina now with his wife, and also his brother was on the boat too. So it's just a beautiful, heartwarming, and very tense story. Every man a hero. Ray Lambert.
I have a fun book to talk about, Semicolon. It's kind of gifty, but I think it's a really great resource about the semicolon. I had this, my first year of college, we did this history class kind of session to do how to write papers, and we all came together, and our TA went into the board and wrote a semicolon and said, "You don't know how to use them, don't." Just don't. And so that put me on the path to always know how to use a semicolon. But in this book, it talks about how it's a misunderstood mark and how a lot of people don't know how to use it. And guess what? There's really no right or wrong sometimes. It's really interesting. It's the history of it. And in a way, it said that, I like that it says that language, a lot of people throughout time have really argued that language and writing kind of doesn't have to follow a set strict rule base. It can kind of be your own twist on it. So they're like, there's not really a correct grammar for all these things. Anyway, it's a really cool book. It's really interesting. And the semicolon was not what it is now when it started. So check it out. It's a great resource and a fun gift for all of your grammar people.
Yeah, I'd say if anybody liked eats, shoots, and leaves, they would absolutely love Celia Watson's Semicolon. It's a fun book. We had it, Academic had it at a conference not long ago for college rhetoric and composition faculty, and that went over a treat. So it's fun. There's drawings, right? There's illustrations in there with pretty quippy and witty captions.
And quotes from people who loved and hated the semicolon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, we have, who is it? Stephen King, Hemingway, Vonnegut, and Orwell detest the semicolon.
The birth of the semicolon. It even shows you like different variations. So a lot of people wrote it differently, and then a lot of people are like, what is this thing? I don't like, what are you putting in there? And then no one had a strict rule for it. So
God,
it's really interesting.
The poor semicolon. Well, and also it takes us through Milton's manuscripts to Martin Luther King Jr.'s letters from Birmingham jail to Chandler's The Big Sleep Show. So she talks about communication. Like at the end, it's all about getting the communication across. So don't be sweating that semicolon. You can just see the semicolon sitting at a bar drinking a beer going, my life's over.
Next to the Oxford comma.
These guys give me such a hard time about this damn Oxford comma.
This book is great. You should read it. I love that I had to go.
Yeah, you had to do that.
I love semicolons.
Lainey, now I know what to get you for Christmas.
You also love the Oxford comma, right?
I love the Oxford comma.
Oh,
I had a friend that their band was called the
too.
Oxford comma. How funny is that?
That is actually
sad.
They're not anymore, but
sad.
I don't know. When I write stuff, I'm like, what do you guys think? You like the way they said?
We're doing this. You don't have to, but
you don't have to if you don't want to, V. But
we do love the Oxford
I'm
comma.
like, then I'll write to them and say, I'm doing this for you too. All right.
We really appreciate it.
It's all right. It's the little things.
It's the little things. The love
Comma.
shows through.
Yes, it's the little comma things. The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. Perhaps you've heard of her. Perennial New York Times best-selling author. Longlisted for ALA's Andrew Carnegie Medal of Fiction. She's a lover of bookstores, independent. She owns one herself called Parnassus in Nashville, Texas. She loves libraries. And she's written a new book, and we are so excited. It's coming out in September. So we're playing a little catch-up here because it was just recently announced. So cool. So it is about, at the core, it's about two siblings and how their bond together is sort of what saves them, because everything else has sort of fallen apart. The Dutch house refers to their home that their father had purchased on a whim, and it was a smart move, financially a smart move. It was the end of the Second World War, and he invests in this real estate empire and turns his family from poverty to terrific wealth. And he buys this Dutch house, which is this estate in a suburb of Philadelphia, and so that's where they live. It was meant to be a surprise for his wife, but purchasing this house sets in motion the crumbling of this family, and specifically the son and daughter. When there's a stepmother comes in and pretty much banishes these two, and it spans 5 decades, and it looks through their eyes, through their prism, of how their family sort of fell apart, and all taking place as the Dutch house is the core, the home. This estate. It's a story of paradise lost. So they're sort of like, so they were poor. This wonderful thing happens. This canny eye for a great deal buys this house. These kids, stepmother kicks them out, and they're back in poverty, and they only have each other. Until they finally confront the people who in their lives who have brought them to this place. So this is what she does, you know. Ann Patchett writes families, and boy, does she write some compelling, complex situations and characters. So she's a genius. And you won't want to stop till you get to the end to see what happens to these two core people at this book. So that is The Dutch House by Ann Patchett. I don't know what else to tell you. I just want to read this one quote, because this is what kind of like sets it up. This is a question in quotes. Do you think it's possible to ever see the past as it actually was? I asked my sister. We were sitting in her car, parked in front of the Dutch house in the broad daylight of early summer. So that's Danny. The book is told through this Danny is the son, the grown son, and he's telling the story. And his sister is Maeve, and she's very self-assured. She's the older sister, and so they're sitting in front of the house, looking back. It's good. Dutch house.
A lot of love for Ann Patchett.
Oh yeah.
A lot of love.
If you don't love it, what happened?
Oh, no, you're fine. Go ahead. I'm just looking for a
Don't
book.
touch my gin, Lainey. Oh, dear Lordy.
Sorry.
Okay.
So, I didn't mean to interrupt the Dutch house.
I'm done.
Sorry.
I'm
Okay.
done. What more do you need to know? Nothing. It's Ann Patchett. Beautiful.
So we have Such a Perfect Wife, and we just wanted to talk about this one really quickly.
Yes.
It's the next installment of the New York Times bestselling Bailey Weggins series. It's true crime. Bailey teams up to find this missing wife, and we're really excited because Library Journal just made it the pick of the month for April, and she got a starred review, and I'm going to read a little bit. Readers who appreciate investigative reporters caught up in the dramatic stories such as James Zinkins' Ellie Stone series or Thomas Kai's Geneva Chase mysteries will savor this intense page-turner that never lets up. So, we just want to let you know, pick of the month, April, Library Journal, and it's the next in the series of the Bailey Weggins detective story. So, Such a Perfect Wife, that comes out in May, so... May 7th, and you can get your library reviews votes in by April 1st.
What? April 1st. Okay. We're doing really well. We have 15 minutes left. Is everybody happy?
Everybody's good, yeah.
Okay.
Do we know yet if the Ann Patchett is going to be up on NetGalley eventually? Do we know? We don't know yet.
We will find out.
Okay.
And let you know. I know printed galleys are supposed to be in. Well, printed manuscripts are supposed to be in next week. So I would say very soon.
Okay.
All right. But you know what? When we find out, we'll put it on Library Love Fest, okay?
Good.
Okay. 3 sports books I want to tell you about real fast. Why am I singing The Girl from Ipanema when I'm talking about 3 sports? Whatever. Okay. All right. At Home with Muhammad Ali by his daughter, Hannah Ali. This is a memoir of love, loss, and forgiveness. You want me to hold one? Are you okay? Okay.
Go.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better.
Okay, so this is a moving and poignant love letter from his daughter, Hannah to father. So what is interesting to note about this relationship with this, they're incredibly close. It's a family memoir, and it's based on personal recordings that Muhammad Ali kept throughout his life. So he was dedicated to keeping his family's history, and so in the 70s he started recording. He started making a series of recordings, which his daughter inherited. So this is private tapes, journals, love letters, never before seen photographs, and it's all about their family. And how he was a devoted family man. He had 9 kids, and he was very complex, and he was very much dedicated to helping others. So there are great illustrations in this book too. So that's at home. What?
The quote from Hannah on the back. It says, "It's been said that my father is one of the most well-written about people in the world. As the chronicles continue to grow, the deepest and most essential essence of his spirit is still largely unknown." So she's hoping to give a little bit more depth,
understanding about Muhammad Ali.
And that's a wonderful cover photo for the gallery.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now there was history always remembers the rivalry of Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali is one for the ages. This is the Smokin' Joe, the life of Joe Frazier, and this is by Mark Cram, who is a sports writer. Who this is the story of his life. There's no true biography of him that exists, and there are key primary sources that were relied on to write this book. So there have been a ton of books, obviously, about Muhammad Ali, not too many about Joe Frazier. So this restores him to his rightful stature in the sports world and beyond. He was much more than just a fighter. This is a full-bodied account of his life. He was the youngest of 13 kids. They came from the Jim Crow South. They lived in a tiny little farmhouse, and then at 15 he goes to fight in Philadelphia. So this is about fights for sure, but it's all about race and class in America as well. And so it's the definitive biography of Joe Frazier. So that's Smokin' Joe.
Love the cover.
Love the cover. You got it?
Yeah.
You got it? Okay,
So this is a cool cover.
yeah, so kind of interesting to have those two back to back. And then Cal Ripken, a junior, Just Show Up, and other enduring values from baseball's Iron Man. He's a baseball legend, so many stats, I'm not going to repeat them all to you, but he played in over 3,000 games for the Baltimore Orioles. He surpassed Lou Gehrig's 56-year-old Ironman record. He set a new mark, 2,131 consecutive games. Can you imagine that? His knees. Anyway, he was admired for his consistency, his hard work, and his loyalty. And this book is... he retired in 21, and he's a baseball analyst, but he reflects on his life, and this is about the lessons that he's learned and offers to the next generation. Life is a streak. Play the long game. Success and money are not the same. Play fair, win fair. So he talks about his father too, Cal Ripken Sr., but really this is life lessons learned by Cal Ripken and sharing them for the next generation. So that's Just Show Up by Cal Ripken Jr. with James Dale. Woo! Burning right through it.
Next.
2 books each. This is the last book.
Yeah, last book.
Kim Russo. Kim Russo. She is the happy medium. She is recognized around the world for her extraordinary gift. She starred on Lifetime Movies Network Psychic Intervention and The Haunting of, which has aired in over 82 million households. And she's appeared on talk shows, on Dr. Oz, and she's extraordinarily well known, and she's extraordinarily wonderful. And this is about discovering your soul purpose by harnessing your own sort of psychic energy. And there are spirit guides, and if you can open yourself, avail yourself to that, and listen to them, it can teach you lessons and can help guide you and sort of get rid of the stuff that is in your way. It teaches you how to embrace love, reject fear, get the negativity out. All right, I have to tell you, some people will buy it and some people will not. But I am telling you, this woman came in here And she said things to me that there is no possible way she could have known. She did this with several people, but it made my knees buckle. But in a good way. I wasn't freaked out. I was reassured. She just said things to me that, as I say, she didn't even know who I was. She thought I worked for the video studio. She did not know who I was at all. I just came in to say hello. That was it. And so not only am I completely a believer, I feel like she is someone who is just such a good person. You're in her presence and you're on the same page. She's not some woo-woo, floating out there and you're not connected and she's there and you're here. It isn't like that at all. She's absolutely authentic and lovely, and I truly believe gifted. Again, I will say to you, there is absolutely no possible way she could have known the things that she said to me from people who have been in my life who are no longer in my life. So that's Kim Russo, and she's lovely, and so is this book, and it's important. It's your sole purpose. Everybody's got one, so read the book and find out more about how to tap into the things that are there. Now, speaking of tapping in, are we done?
I think so.
I think we need to have a little head tap and tell you how much we all love you, and thank you so much for tuning in. Is there anything that anybody wants to say to us, Kim?
People are thanking you for the great books. They are super happy that there was a little bit more nonfiction this time than fiction, so people seem to really like that as well. And lots of people are adding lots of things to their to-be-read piles, hopefully also remembering the April 1st Library Reads voting deadline as well, if they are eligible to. But yeah, so that everybody just says thanks for the presentation today.
Well, thank you. And if there's ever anything that you want to hear more about, just write to us, email us. You know how to get in touch with us, Library Love Fest, and let us know, because we're happy to tell you anything about any of our books, other than the fact that they're fabulous. But if there's something in particular that you want to know more about, or if you want to know about things that are coming out further out in the distance, we like to let you know about things that are about to come out. But if this time frame doesn't work and you'd rather know about things that are coming out in November, tell us, because we want to make you happy. As happy as this gin is making me. Good job, Lainey.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.
Bye.